to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel.
When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I mean, that's it. That is a truism.
Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us again today. Appreciate it. Always look forward to having you be a part of this podcast and listen. We're getting ready to wrap up our season here, just a couple more episodes. And last week we did not have an episode, but I'm back now. In fact, that's what this episode will be about, talking about why we didn't have an episode last week and what I did and where I went, what happened. Expect the unexpected. That's what today's episode is all about. Man, I tell you, in life, you just can have unexpected things happen. And if you expect that the unexpected is a part of life, you'll be a lot better prepared. And of course, there's an aspect of this that the unexpected can be very exciting and thrilling in many ways. And so there's good, it's good too. There's good and there's bad, and there's good and bad in this story today that I'll share with you. But I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you'll get a lot out of it that you can apply in your own life, in all aspects of life. Plus, it's a good story is always a good story, and man, this is one with a lot of twists and turns to it. But sorry about missing last week. I know we're almost at the end of the season, and hate to miss one that close to the end of the season, but this was the travel commitment, and so there was nothing really to do to get around it. But I hope make up for it in what we talk about here today. And just want to say, as you know, whenever I go places and end up introducing myself to new people, I'm always reminded that, no matter how many people might know you or follow you or whatever your name or reputation might be, there's always new people that don't know who you are. And whether you're introducing yourself to people in another country or you're introducing yourself on a podcast like this to just let more people know about you, the best thing I can tell you to do is just go to rickmcdaniel.com. I mean, that is the simplest, easiest way to just find out all the different things that I do, the books that I write, the articles that I write, the places that I speak, the topics that I speak about, the partnerships I have with Bible app and the Pray app and Fox News and things like that, and how all of those work together, the coaching, consulting work that I do as well. All that stuff, you can find out about all of it in one easy place. And it's so much, I was trying to tell someone all the things I do, and they kept stopping me, asking me this, that, and the other. And it's just really the easiest thing to do is just go to the website and find out. You can find out. I hope that you will do that. Find out about books I've done and stuff that I'm continuing to do. And man, there's some great stuff in the works. Nothing I can talk about today. Hopefully next week I can. But yeah, there's several big projects in the works here. That'll just be more content and more stuff that you can consume, and that'll hopefully do exactly what I'm here to do. This is why I'm on this earth, is to inspire, to encourage, to motivate. That's what I want to do for you. That's what I'm looking to do all the time in any way, shape, or form that I can. Spoken, written, large audiences, smaller groupings, and all that sort of stuff. Happy to do any of that can be of help. So today, I usually do this every time I take any sort of major international trip, or even within America. I'll usually do an episode on my experience in some way, shape, or form, and they all end up being different. This one is different than any one that I've done before. You'll understand that as I get into it. But it's always great to just kind of share the experience and the story and the stories, really, and just see what comes of it, how it can help you and inform you. But also, again, it's a source of, I hope, encouragement for you about how things can go, and they may not go the way you planned, but that doesn't mean that it won't end up working out pretty well in the end. And that's kind of the story of what took place. So here's the lowdown. I was heading out to London, flying to London, and spending most of my time in London. Couple little side trips out into the Cotswolds, which is like the country area, a couple hours outside of London, and one other little trip to Windsor, which is not that far away. And that was a trip that had a little bit of church commitment and a lot of just vacationing, sightseeing, spending time with my wife, giving my wife a special anniversary gift, all that sort of thing. So that's kind of how the whole thing was set up. Now, I will tell you that it involved multiple hours of planning to put this whole trip together. It was just a lot of planning. And I tell you that because I think that to make things work, it does take planning. In anything I've ever been associated with that has been successful, there's no way to get around the planning mechanism. If you think you can, you can't. And when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I mean, that's it. That is a truism. That is one you can take to the bank. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you have to do the planning. However, there's another funny little saying that says, we make plans, God laughs, so our plans, as good as they may be, and I think I had a good plan, does not mean that it will always go according to plan, that it will go the way that you want it to go. And I will tell you this, I have come back from trips before, and I've said to my wife, that was flawless. We should be so grateful. We should have such thankfulness in our hearts because that trip just went off beautifully. I mean, it just absolutely went right according to plan. I've had those trips. I've had many of them. And then I've had those that there might have been a mishap. Like one time in Italy, there was one mishap that could have been so much worse, but got a little injured, but could have ended up in the hospital with some really bad stuff. But other than that, flawless, absolutely flawless trip. And so sometimes there's, one little thing that'll take place. I was in Hawaii one time and I climbed up this tree to get this picture, and all of a sudden the branch broke and I went sliding down the tree. But the thing is, the tree was right next to a cliff. I mean, it could have gone so bad. I ended up tearing up my leg where I slid down the tree, and I also ended up tearing my leg in Italy, by the way, and I ended up tearing up my leg on this trip. So that seems to be a common theme there. But all of these things could have been so much worse, but sometimes they're just absolutely flawless and they go exactly to plan. And then there are other times that just unexpected things happen, both good and bad. And this is one where it started out one way, not so good, unexpectedly, and really got really good. And I want to just kind of share it with you and hope that I can bring some insights that'll help you in your life in terms of expecting the unexpected and dealing with the unexpected. So here's what happened. I got a text from Delta Airlines that said there are thunderstorms in New York City. We are monitoring the situation. Okay, that was like in the morning. And my flight wasn't until the evening, so I really wasn't too concerned. In fact, I took a quick look at the New York weather, and it didn't even show anything in the evening. And I was like, nothing to be concerned about, and just continued on my day, getting ready to take my trip. And then all of a sudden, I get a text, and it says, your flight has been canceled. Not delayed, canceled. Now, in all of my international travel, we're talking about 45 countries and 6 continents, so that's a lot of travel. I have never had, and I say that never, but that's not true. Years and years ago, I had a flight to South America canceled. That's right. So this is my second time I've ever had a flight canceled in all of my years of traveling internationally. So it's a pretty rare thing to happen. Now, here's what's really rare about it is the international flights, because there's so much that goes into them, they just virtually never cancel. But this flight, actually, the international part of it wasn't canceled. It was me getting to JFK in New York City. I think, don't know for sure, but I think that flight actually, the flight I was supposed to be on from New York to London, I think that flight took off. It's just getting to JFK, that was the problem. And so since you couldn't get there, you couldn't get on that flight. So now the one years ago in Miami, from Miami to South America, that actually was an international one that got changed. But that is the only other time this has ever happened to me. And that was literally, I mean, that's probably 25 years ago, a long time. So it's just really rare for something like this to happen. It's totally unexpected. And that just set off a whole series of things that I had to then try to reschedule. I mean, a ton of stuff. It was awful. It was hours. I had like 5 different reservations that I now had to move because I was going to miss an entire day. Just getting the next flight was so challenging to try. You would just think, well, just take the next available flight. Not that simple. Amazingly, just simply not that simple to do. Was not. It should have been so easy. It wasn't. Flights making 2 stops, which I absolutely refuse to do. I am not making 2 stops ever anywhere I fly. I'd love to fly direct. I'll live with the 1 stop, but not the 2. I ended up having to go to Minneapolis, believe it or not, to then go to London. Also, to tell you that if you don't believe the world is round for some bizarre reason, you can appreciate that the flight from Minneapolis to London is the exact amount of time as a flight from New York City. It's not a bit farther, even though Minnesota from New York is like 3-hour flight, just to show you how wild it is and how the world works and how this sphere that we live on is definitely something you got to look on a globe to understand. You can't look at a flat piece of paper. It won't make much sense to you. So that just was super challenging. I mean, it took hours of moving all this stuff around and having people tell me, no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. Really, 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 really unpleasant. So then once I was able to move things around, I then had to get a flight back because I was going to, basically, I shifted everything for a day. Fortunately, I had the ability to do that. I could come back a day later. That's really important. So the trip did not have to be shrunk. But ultimately, it took a conversation at the hotel to get them to shift the reservation, because initially their response was, you'll just have to pay for this night even though you don't show up. And then then you got to add the night. So I'll end up paying it another night. And I'm like, no, I'm not paying for nights that I don't stay there. But we're able to work it all out. But man, it was really, really challenging. It got so difficult at one point. I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to make this trip. It's just such an enormous hassle of so many things that had to be changed, and phone calls and emails, and it was really, really, really unpleasant. What are you going to do? Now, I put so much time and effort into planning everything, and then just because of thunderstorms, cancel a flight, not even the main flight, but just the flight to get to New York City, and the whole thing goes south. It's frustrating stuff. What are you going to do? You just have to be able to roll with it and deal with it. And it was difficult. I mean, when we're flying, to Minneapolis, I'm like, this is so dumb. We're going in the wrong direction. We're going west. We're supposed to be going east. This makes no sense. It just was not, and of course our seats, the seat issue, because, you know, we're picking up flights. We had all our seats set. Now we're picking up flights where my wife and I weren't even sitting together at one point. And oh man, it was not good. But ultimately, we were able to get it worked out. So, oh, by the way, arriving, that was another thing I had to move because I had the car already reserved and they wanted money to change the day. Really something. I mean, but we finally got there and we arrived. I talked to the hotel. I got the big issue straightened out with not having to pay an extra night. And now it was time to shift gears here and have a special night with my wife and gift and dinner. And that was magical. Just absolutely beautiful, delicious meal, beautiful setting. Could not have been nicer. Did the rose petal thing back in the room. I mean, it was, textbook of how you should do it if you're a good husband and you want to create a special memory. And so that went exactly as expected. So again, expect the unexpected, but also expect that your plan will work. That, it's not all going to go down the tubes. If the delay was a definite surprise. And so when you have these things happen in life and, you have a plan and then it doesn't work out initially, doesn't mean the whole thing is going to go down the tubes. And having built from scratch multiple organizations, I can just tell you that things don't always go according to plan, but sometimes things do go exactly according to plan. And they go off flawlessly, and it's fantastic experience. So you just have to be able to say not everything will, but then not be surprised when some things are exactly as you plan them to be, and they go off great. So here's the next unexpected, and this is a very positive one. You go to London, and all you hear from people is the weather. The weather. It's never going to stay the same. It's going to change on you. You better pack with layers. You better bring an umbrella, a rain jacket, because it's going to just do everything. I watched the video in which someone actually filmed, and they showed, they said, and this was just 1 week before we left, not like years ago, a week. And it was here's this morning, and it was all nice and sunny. And then here's what happened at noon. It started raining. And then here's after the rain, and then it's sunny again in the afternoon. And then here's what happened at 4, and it started raining again. And they were just kind of showing this is what you can expect. And so you go there with an expectation that that's how it's going to be. And I'm telling you what, this is what happened. First of all, in an entire week, it never rained. I don't mean we never had a rainy day. I don't mean it hardly rained. It just rained for an hour or a few times throughout the week. It never, ever, for 1 minute, ever rained. The people were shocked beyond belief. They're this weather is unbelievable. And I had to laugh, and my wife and we were laughing because years ago when my youngest son was playing college football, we flew out to Seattle for one of his games, and we went early to spend some time in Seattle. My wife had never been there before, and just take the whole Pacific Northwest in. And the weather was so stunning the whole time that we were there that when we left, the day after the game, and the people in the hotel were can you come back again because you brought this incredible weather? We just do not have weather like this where it never rains and it's sunny. And this was the early part of the season. This was a game that probably took place right at the beginning of September or something. The beginning of college football season, and they said that we just don't have this kind of weather. And then here it happens again in London. The weather was phenomenal. And what was really incredible was the days of just total and complete sunshine. It wasn't even partial. There were days it was completely sunny. And at the end, it got a little bit of clouds, but I mean, nothing anyone would ever complain about. Also, the temperatures were, when we got there, they were in the 80s, actually went up almost and maybe hit 90, and then kind of came back down into the 70s. So the weekend that we were there, they literally showed on the news, the beach was like completely packed. Like people were going crazy. And it just so happened that this was a holiday. The Monday was a holiday, like a Labor Day, like Memorial Day for us, although it wasn't Memorial Day, but it was still a holiday. And then kids were out from school. So it was just magical, absolutely magical. People were just blown away. They just couldn't believe it. And it was completely unexpected. There was no rain jacket, no umbrella, no changing into layers, nothing. Just like beautiful weather every single day. We averaged 7.5 miles of walking a day. That's how good the weather was. Like we're just walking all over the place and just having ourselves a great time. Got pictures with, blue sky, just absolutely stunning. So there's an absolutely unexpected blessing. So yeah, the unexpected delay was not good, was negative, was no fun, and lots of work to reschedule everything and be on different flights and not have the same seats and taking longer to get there. Can't deny any of that. Get there, and we have a week that was just an absolute stunner of a week. Just could not have been better. So we're there, and we go to Windsor Castle in the morning. This is on a Saturday. And now we're back in London on a Saturday afternoon. So we walk up to Trafalgar Square, which is not far from where our hotel is. And there's people gathered around, not like a huge number of people, but significant number of people. And we hear music that is very familiar to us, which is Christian praise music. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so come to find out, there is this gathering, this large gathering of Christians, and what is happening is when we get there, the numbers are significant but not huge. But that's because this Jesus March that they're doing, they're ending it in Trafalgar Square. And so we were probably there for 15 or 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, all these people come in and fill up this place, just fill it up with people who came from this march. And so years ago, and we had this in America called the March for Jesus, and they had it there in London, and then they didn't have it for a while, and they resurrected it, and instead of calling it the March for Jesus, they called it the Jesus March. And it was just the most serendipitous experience for us, where we had no idea. People who saw what I posted just automatically assumed that this is why I went to London, was to be a part of this event. And that actually is not what I did not even know about it. I was going the next day to a church that was planned, but not this. This was not a planned thing. We just literally happened upon it, stumbled upon it. Expect the unexpected. Who would have thought that someone like me, in my leadership role within Christianity, would be in London and be at the exact spot in this giant city at the exact time that this Jesus March was happening, and then all the people who'd been marching were all going to meet with the other folks that are already assembled. I mean, that's not lucky. That's not coincidence. That is just absolutely a God-ordained thing, providential. It was just remarkable. It was a remarkable experience, and one that just was so special. And the unexpected nature of it just made it all the better. The next day we went to Holy Trinity Brompton. That's where the Alpha course was started by Nicky Gumbel years ago. I was in Amsterdam at the Billy Graham Amsterdam 2000 event, and that is where I met these folks. I learned about the Alpha course and brought it back to Virginia and started one of the first Alpha courses in America and the first one in Virginia over 25 years ago. And so being able to go there, Nicky Gumbel's now retired, but the church continues on strong. I mean, I'm talking like people lined up to get in, packed out, absolutely packed out. And not just like one service, that was the third service, plus they have other locations. So this is the largest Anglican church in England, even though you'd never think it was an Anglican church if you went to the service. It was incredibly contemporary, super powerful. That I expected it to be good, but honestly, it was better than I even expected. Expect the unexpected. It was unexpectedly, because you never know after somebody like Nicky who led all the growth, it's gone, whether things would, kind of go down a little bit. No, the energy, the diversity of people, the atmosphere was so powerful. It was just really, 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 really a great experience. So that weekend of Saturday and Sunday, man, that was just like totally fantastic ministry. Just could not have been better. And then after that was the vacation part, like the initial night of the anniversary thing, then the ministry stuff on the weekend, and then the sightseeing stuff for the week. And again, with the beautiful weather, just everything and all of everything, Big Ben and the London Eye and the Tower Bridge and the Tower of London and Westminster Abbey and the Church of War Rooms and Covent Garden and Borough Market and the British Museum, you name it, man. We did it. We covered it all, again with a side trip out to the Cotswolds as well. So that went beautifully, absolutely beautifully. But one thing that was so unexpected was our experience in Westminster Abbey with what they call the vergers. These are like almost like deacons in the church that are specifically schooled in giving tours of Westminster Abbey. And we had a verger named Alex, and I'm going to just tell you what, this guy was one of the most passionate, most excited people about his job that I have come across in my many years of having people lead tours. It was just fantastic. He obviously loved what he was doing. There was nothing else he would rather be doing. He modulated his voice. It was almost like an actor. He used his body. He moved in, he moved out. He had all kinds of information, and it was just so unexpected. I've never been on a tour like that in my life with someone who just was so unbelievably invested in what he was doing that you just had to smile, because it was just like you're just watching a guy who loves his job and loves what he's doing. This guy knows what his purpose is. He knows his why. He is there to tell people about Westminster Abbey, the history of it, and the functioning of the church as it is today, inviting people to come to services and prayers. I mean, like, this is like the best possible guy you could ever put out in front of people and say, this is the guy. This is the guy to lead a tour. And that was completely unexpected. And it was marvelous. It was just absolutely marvelous to watch somebody love their job. So that was great. And then we were able to get a direct flight home, which was absolutely marvelous. Had a little unexpected experience on the plane with some not so well-behaved British drunk guys. That's a story that I can't tell on this podcast, but I had my involvement in it. But we got back and got back safely home. So the point is, You can make your plans, and many times things will go according to plan, and that's fantastic. But usually there's going to be some unexpected things that'll happen. Sometimes they might be kind of negative, and they might be problematic. And most of the time they're going to be marvelous. They're going to be things like incredible weather and stumbling upon things you never expected to find. That'll really be a blessing to you. So just live your life with that. You expect the unexpected, and you'll be happy and you'll be blessed. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.